Amisha, you can start now.
A true leader is the one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. Everyone is a leader in his or her own way. Whether we are leading a company, our group of friends, or even our own families, we all are leaders in our own respective way. But then, who is a true leader? There's a long way that differentiates between a leader and a true leader. May it be their dedication for development, their attitude, their way of speaking, their encouragement towards the public, or their affection. Today, we are here to discuss and celebrate the greatness and highness of two of the greatest leaders of all times. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Amisha Guharai, and along with me, there is my partner, Adyasha Samantrai of Standard 12. We welcome you all to this wonderful webinar on behalf of the entire DAV fraternity. I am extremely happy to introduce the members of this seminar. It is a great honor and privilege to have amongst us the host principal, regional officer, Odisha Zone 1, Honorable Dr. Keshab Chandra Satpathy, to enlighten all of us with his motivating words. We extend a hearty welcome to you, sir. We also welcome the principals of the various DAV schools of Bhubaneswar for joining us on this platform. We are ever so grateful to you, sir and madam. We also have Shri Nihar Kanta Jena, supervisor and excellent and experienced faculty in political science, and Dr. Sthiti Pragya Mishra, PGT in history, as the panel members of today's webinar. We welcome you from the core of our hearts, sir and ma'am. It is to notify all that they would be observing the presentation of all the teams and would be giving their valuable remarks. In addition to this, I also extend hearty greetings to all the teacher in charges and the participants of the 4 DAVs of Bhubaneswar. They are DAV Public School Unit 8, DAV Public School Pokhariput, DAV Public School Kalinganagar, and DAV Public School Chandrasekharpur. Now, may I request my co-anchor Adyasha Samantrai to inform all of us about the purpose of today's seminar.
Good afternoon, everyone. As we all know, human society is changing. With rapid developments and increased modernization, the quality of life of every individual is expected to improve. But sadly, we still struggle for it. This is because we live in a very polarized nation and a violent world. How relevant is it to think of the idea of non-violence in today's post-truth society? What importance does the word compassion has in today's world? These ideas led us on a search for an ideal leader who can show us the right path towards a better society. And today we are here on this wonderful platform, not just to celebrate and pay respect to these wonderful idols, but indeed we are here to accept their true spirits, notions, beliefs, and have a real sense practice of their thoughts in our day-to-day life. Now, for further proceeding, I request my co-host Amisha to take over. Thank you.
A leader's job is not to have all the ideas, but to listen to all the ideas and implement the best one. One such leader is our very own beloved Principal Sir Dr. Keshab Chandra Satpathy. He is the captain of our ship, our constant motivation, the backbone of DAV institution. He is not only our guiding star, but an excellent educationist who is also a change agent. He is the one who believes that change is the law of nature and hence he always comes up with progressive ideas. A man of principles who believes in Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. It is he who had the vision and mission to establish this school. And it is only under his guidance that today DAV Public School Chandrasekharpur is one of the best schools in the nation. I feel highly elated to have this opportunity to request our Honorable Principal Sir Dr. Keshav Chandra Satpathy to address the gathering. Sir, please.
Good afternoon, everybody. Those who are present in the virtual platform and those who are not there also. Principals of the 4 schools of Bhubaneswar, Madam Ipsita, Mr. Vipin, Madam Sujata, and Niyarika Gantayat of DAV Chandrasekharpur, students from 4 DAV schools, those who are participating in the seminar or not participating and watching this program. Very good afternoon to all of you. It is a seminar to inculcate the values of Shastriji and Gandhiji in our children. Gandhiji would have led a very, very richful life and very, what I can say that the life what your rich people are leading nowadays and you people are following them because you want nowadays good dress, good khana, good everything and good vehicle also, air conditioned house also, air conditioned car also, because we become very materialistic. If he would have been materialistic, then he would have led his life very nicely because he was a very prominent advocate. And in that time, you think he could have earned a lot, but he dedicated himself for the cause of the nation, for the cause of the society, for the cause of the people. So, my dear children, when we were the students, we were reading the life history of many great people like Gandhiji, Shastriji, Nehruji, Swami Vivekananda, Radha Krishnan, Ramakrishna Paramahansa, like this. Many story books were included in our syllabus also. Even when we did our teaching course also, some of the philosophy of those people have been taken as the text and students were evaluated on those texts. Now we are getting all the comforts from all the corners. Your parents are very much eager to provide you a very, very comfortable life. But my dear children, please remember, nobody looks at you, whether you are going in BMW vehicle or you are going by Maruti 800 or you are going by a scooter or you are going by a good motorcycle, a racing motorcycle whose cost is more than 10 lakhs. Nobody bothers for those things. If you do not have values, then you will lose your identity in this society. Though Gandhiji's 150 birth anniversary we are observing, but still then people not in India have remembered him for his contribution, but in the world also they have remembered him. So my dear students, even the teachers who are in the forum, kindly inculcate some values and try to understand the philosophy what Mahatma Gandhi has given to the nation. I am telling you one thing here, my dear students. Once a cancer patient who is suffering from blood cancer, they are restricted to take salt. Salt should not be added in their foods. One day, the child's mother took the child to the Mahatma Gandhi and told Mahatma Gandhi requested Mahatma Gandhi kindly advise him not to take salt in the foods. Mahatma Gandhi didn't give any advice. He told that come again after 7 days with your child. On that particular day, I will talk to your child, but not now. So after 7 days, the child came with his mother, and Mahatma Gandhi gave some suggestions to the child. Then the meeting is over. The lady, the great lady of the child, asked Mahatma Gandhi, 7 days before when I came, you didn't tell anything. The same thing you would have told 7 days before when I came with my child. Mahatma Gandhi told that I have not tested whether without salt I can take my foods or not. I first experiment it on me, and after 7 days I was fully convinced that without salt we can live, we can take our foods. That's why I am now in a position to give the suggestions and give the advice to your child. You might have read Experiment on Truth, the book, the great book written by Mahatma Gandhi ji. How many of you, those who are coming to this seminar, have read that book fully, understood the philosophy of the Mahatma Gandhi? If I tell, a lot of time I will take, but only I will say that try to understand in your life when you grow the philosophy of Mahatma Gandhi. At least if you cannot get time to understand him fully, then please read the book written by him, Experiment on Truth, and try to understand this stalwart who gave us the freedom, and we are leading a free life now. Similarly, Shastri ji, you know, he was an honest person, and he had given the slogan. What slogan he has given? One of the students, please tell me what slogan Shastri ji has given.
So, Jai Jawan, Jai Kishan.
Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan. Jai Jawan is always right, you understood? Because the soldiers, those who are in the borders of your country, they are fighting for you, and they are spending their nights and days to allow you to sleep peacefully in your house. So that's why my appeal to all of you, all the students community and the teaching community, that when you see any soldier, any officers from the defense department, tell them, at least wish them Jai Hind. Because if you are able to sleep properly in your house, these people, they are spending their life on the border of your country. So that's why they deserve and they command the respect from all of us. So only you see that after Vajpayee, only the dead body of the soldiers are cremated with the national national salute. Before it was not there. They were not sending the dead body of the soldiers to their home, to their family, to their village. And Jai Kisan, you know that it is an agricultural country. We mostly depend, our economy mostly depend on the agriculture. So that's why the farmers of this country should be enriched, empowered, and if the agriculture workers will put their best effort, then your country can be a developed country. What Abdul Kalam ji told in his book, by 2020 we want to see our country as a developed country. I was listening that India is a developing country. My father was telling also India is a developing country. My children, you people are also telling India is a developing country. When you will be a developed country? The strength lies in the hand of the farmers only. So we have to enrich and empower our farmers so that they can contribute to the GDP of the country, and then India can be one of the richest country in the world and one of the powerful country in the world. So with this, if I discuss a lot of things I can say, but you people have everything. Only one thing you lack, that is most of the students, I'm not telling all students, all teachers, we lack values. We are loving the materials, matters, but not loving the human beings. That is the tragedy of the present time. We love our mobile, we love our vehicle, like we love our house, we love our car. If something make a dent, make a spot on your car or mobile, we are very much irritated. Our friendship is over there, then and there, and we are very much annoyed, but we never love the people. And we love the people to get our problem solved. And when the problem is solved, we throw them in the dustbin. We don't have any link with them. So my request to all the members, those who are on this platform, kindly adhere to the value system. And the D.A.V. Chandrasekhar Prabhu has taken this step in conducting the seminars to inculcate the value system in students, teachers, and the society. With this, I convey my thanks to the teachers, those who have arranged this seminar, and also I welcome all the judges, those who are there in this platform to judge your ideas and delivery and content. I also welcome them and thank you very much inviting me to speak something in this virtual platform. So everyone, those who are participating in this seminar, is a jewel for me, and I can say they are the best among the lot selected by the school to participate in this seminar. I wish every member all the best, and I'm very sure it will be difficult for the judges to select the best one. So with this, I convey again my thanks to all of you. Jai Hind, Bande Utkal Janani.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your words of wisdom. Thank you, sir, for making us understand that it's neither the money we have nor the clothes that we wear. If anything, that really is us, the Indians, are the values. Thank you, sir, for your motivating words. Now comes the most interesting part of this webinar. That is, it's the time for all the 4 teams to present their topics one after another. But before starting the presentation, it's customary on my part to make you all aware of the rules and regulations of the webinar. Starting with rule number 1. This webinar is meant only for the 4 DAV public schools of Bhubaneswar. Each team has been given a specific topic related to the ideas and ideologies of Gandhiji and Shastriji, and the members of the team are expected to speak on that topic only. Rule number 2. Each team will be given a maximum time of 7 minutes, out of which they can present themselves only for 4 minutes, and then take up and answer the queries of the other teams during the rest. Rule number 3. The members of the team need to switch on their audio as well as video while presenting themselves. If prepared, they can present their PowerPoint presentations as well. Rule number 4. Questions by the other teams should be framed in such a way that they can be answered within 1 minute. Finally, Now, it's my sincere request to our honorable panelist, Shri Nihar Kant Jena and Dr. Stitipanna Mishra, to please have a careful observation on all the presentations to give their valuable remarks later. Thank you. Now, it's the time. May I welcome the first team, that is Team DAV Unit 8, represented by Ms. Pratishtha and Ms. Lavanya, to proceed with the beautiful topic, integrity, an integral part of life. Please switch on your audio and video while presenting yourself. So friends, your time starts now.
Namaste, a very warm and love-filled afternoon, esteemed principal, honorable panel of judges, respected teachers, and my dear friends. It's a proud privilege on my part to be able to inaugurate this one of its own kind of a historical moment of this virtual inter-school webinar which is based upon the birth anniversary of Gandhiji and Shastriji, and of course upon their principles which stand high even today in the age of 21st century. Topic given to us is integrity, an integral part of our life. I myself am a staunch believer of integrity because it is the only way that could help us to get through any kind of dire situations in our life, and it will also help us to make history in the future. So now, as it has been rightly said, that as the sands of our lives dwindle and vanish, we are making history. It's here and it's now. So now, as we are talking about history, let us all take into account what really history has taught us regarding integrity. Now be it Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the great emissary of love and equal opportunity, or be it Lord Gauranga's message of Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva, which means that we, not only we, rather each and every living being are provided with the opportunity to live, to exist according to their own individuality, own uniqueness, and own principles in which they believe in, and to explore the spectrum of happiness. Gandhiji was one of the greatest examples of integrity we have seen in modern times, and many moving stories about his life demonstrate the power of teaching his character trait possessed. A mother once brought a child to him, asking him to tell the young boy not to eat any sugar because it was not good for his diet or teeth. Gandhi replied, "I cannot tell him that, but you may bring him after 1 month." The mother was evidently angry. 1 month later, she returned, not knowing what to expect. But the great Gandhi took the small child's hand into his own, knelt before him, and tenderly communicated, "Do not eat sugar, my child. It is not good for you." Then he embraced him and returned the boy back to his mother. The mother was evidently perplexed and queried, "Why didn't you just say that to him a month ago?" Gandhi replied, "A month ago, I was still eating sugar." You see, what power in example of him. It is integrity which is the legacy that we can give to our children. This was demonstrated by the most famous gangster in the American history, Al Capone. He had a lawyer named Easy Eddie. He was such a good lawyer that he could manipulate the law in such a way that nobody could even touch Al Capone and his team. Easy Eddie had a son who could have anything he wanted for a child of his age. But Eddie was thinking, there is one thing I haven't given to my son, an example of integrity. He has everything he wants to have, but he doesn't have a father of which he can be proud of. So now you all must be wondering that we have been speaking about the word integrity since such a long time. So what really the word means? Well, the word integrity has been derived from a Latin word that's integer. It means to be whole. It means the feeling of completeness. Oh, such a beautiful meaning it has. So a person would feel the feeling of completeness only when he or she abides by their own objectives, their own principles of life, on ethical values in which they believe in. And that is the only way in which they are going to be trustworthy and dependable in the society.
as we are talking about trust. Sadhguru had rightly said that if there's no integrity, then there's no trust, and life would become even more torturous without trust. So according to me, in order to be a most trustworthy person, if we think of a situation in which we are surrounded by people who do not trust us, and in another situation where we are surrounded by people whom we ourselves do not trust. So which of these two situations are more worst? Of course, both of them are as bad as hell. So we must always listen with curiosity, speak with honesty, and act with integrity in order to be a person who would be dependable and who would be easy to trust upon.
Of course, the dictionary meaning of integrity is easy to learn, isn't it? But what is the essence of integrity? Integrity is telling myself the truth, and honesty is telling the truth to other people. This famous saying by Spencer Johnson describes integrity in a perfect manner. Integrity is wisely choosing between what is right and what is wrong. If a person has nothing else in his life, he can always feel proud about his own integrity. There are two types of integrity: national integrity and personal integrity. National integrity is the very existence of a country. Without unity and integrity is in trouble. It's not only important for the citizens, but also for the government and the people who are the part of the governance. The right to live according to our own principles, irrespective of caste, color, creed, religion, economic status, is what we call integrity.
So integrity is basically doing the right thing when no one is watching, as it was rightly said by Sir C.S. Lewis. Now we know now that what is the real importance of integrity or essence of integrity in our life. But the question comes, how to be an integral person and what are the steps to be an integral person? Well, there are certain steps that I think would help us to embrace integrity in our daily life. First of all, we have to abide by the objectives of the institution where we are working. Along with giving importance to our own values and objectives and ethical principles, we must also give importance to the objectives and values of our institution where we are working. Be it we as a student in a school, we as an employee in a company, or we as an entrepreneur in the world of millionaires. All we have to do is to make a better decision along with satisfying both the objectives of our institution and the objectives of our own beliefs and ethical principles. Secondly, we must always be ready to work. As an integral person with an integral character, I must not be ever afraid of getting my hands dirty. Whenever I would be approached by anyone for a help or for completion of a task, I will willingly complete the task and help the person out in the worst situation, just to imbibe the integral character within myself. Thirdly, we have to set an example in whatever we are doing. Let's take an example. We as children, we have participated in many drawing competitions. Even today we do participate. And suppose I have been given a paper so as to draw my own according to my own ideas, and I don't like mine. So I start copying from the fellow person sitting next to me. Even though I would give my 100% hard work to complete the drawing and to make it very beautiful, still my hard work won't be paid off. Why? Because what my drawing lacks is authenticity. I wouldn't have my unique touch and unique taste in my work that I have done, and hence I won't be paid off completely. That is what an integral person must do. They must always have their unique touch, and they must always give their unique touch in each and every work that they are doing, and must always set the example for the society. Last but not the least, I think that an integral person must always respect his fellow beings. Along with respecting our own opinions and values, we must also respect the opinions of our colleagues, of the people who help us, of the people who serve us. That is what a true integral leader with true integral actions does.
This rare kind of integrity has great power. Imagine what the world would be like if all the present day leaders of the nation had that kind of integrity. And of course, an integral part of life is integrity, that we have sacred ideals and we embrace those sacred ideals. But at last, I would like to say that integrity has a massive impact in the society. It improves your personality and helps in enhancing the quality of your life. And I would like to conclude by saying thank you for giving us this opportunity, and we leave this platform more learned and being enriched with more knowledge. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Pratishtha and Ms. Lavanya. It was an amazing presentation. But now comes the most interactive session, that is the question answer session. Right now, I request the team members of Team DAV Pokhariput to put forward their questions. Team DAV Pokhariput.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to congratulate and thank you for such a thorough presentation on integrity. So my question is that integrity is a great idea in theory, but as Lord Acton famously said, power tends to corrupt. Would you say that elimination of concentrated power would eliminate all instances of corruption?
No, I wouldn't say that elimination of concentrated power would eliminate instance of corruption. It can reduce the corruption by a fascinating bit, but we can't say that it can eliminate corruption. Instead, if we try to end the impunity, reform the finance management, promote transparency, then we can eliminate corruption in a significant way.
Thank you.
I hope my answer was satisfactory.
Yes, it is.
Thank you, Team DAV Unit 8, for your satisfying answers. Now it's the turn of Team DAV Kalinganagar to put forth its question. Please.
Yeah, hey. So you guys did a splendid job. So my question is, how will you deal with a ethical dilemma if cropped up? Please tell how will you resolve the situation?
First of all, thank you for your question. According to me, ethical dilemma is a situation in which we would be having two options to do, but neither of them would be able to satisfy us. So in such a situation of ethical dilemma, I would try to reconsider the problem and I will look for alternative options. Even though the alternative options would not satisfy me, then I will try to reconsider the problem and try to find even new possibilities and new opportunities to overcome that ethical dilemma. That is how I am going to solve that without hampering the interests, neither of mine nor of my team members.
Thank you.
Thank you, Team DAV Unit 8. Beautifully answered. Now it's the turn of the next team, the final team, that is Team DAV Chandrasekharpur, to ask its question. Please put forward your question.
Thank you. Thank you, DAV Unit 8, for presenting so nicely on the topic integrity and letting us know about the values which is immensely needed in today's generation. So our question goes like this. As we know, today we are discussing mostly about integrity, honesty, which are the characters of two great leaders, Gandhiji and Lal Bahadur Shastriji. So my question goes like, does the life and activity of Lal Bahadur Shastri reflect his integrity? Give an example, please.
Yes, of course, the life and activities or the policies of Lal Bahadur Shastri reflected his inner integrity. He had a strong willpower, sacrificed love and devotion for his own country. He was honest and humble with all his countrymen. And from his younger days, he was against the caste system. He had the principle of simple living and high thinking. So I strongly agree that by his policies and actions, he was able to reflect his integrity to others.
Thank you very much.
I hope this answer of mine could satisfy all your doubts.
Yeah, it was very nice.
Quite an interesting and interactive question answer session. Thank you, Team DAV Unit 8. Really, you made us understand that the word integrity itself describes the sense of completeness and togetherness that one enjoys when they live their lives honestly as well as morally. Finally, I request our honorable panelist, Shri Niharkanta Jana, to please present his valuable remarks about the presentation of Team DAV Unit 8. Please, sir.
Thank you, Adyasha. Respected principal sir and respected principals from other schools, ladies and gentlemen, and my dear students. This is the first presentation and the first phase of interaction between the presenters and participants. The presentation was awesome and the interaction was very intense. Congratulations to DAV Unit 8 for very elaborately explaining the meaning of the term integrity and collecting some examples from the national and international level and beautifully merging how to elaborate the concept of integrity in one's life. I was listening to your presentation very thoroughly and in detail. You have collected some examples from the life of Gandhiji, from the life of Shastriji, and if we continue to find the examples of integrity, there will not be less than millions of such examples from these two greatest children of Mother India. I would like to add on something to Aryam's quote, which he stated about Lord Acton. I think it was a part statement. Power corrupts and power corrupts, absolute power corrupts absolutely. I repeat again, power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. That is a complete statement. And Lavanya and Pratishtha, both of you very cleverly and very, articulately, you resolved the question, you answered the question. And the question from team Kalinganagar was all about the ethical dilemma, and you also answered the questions very carefully and very appropriately. So talking about the value of integrity in the life of Shastriji and Gandhiji, first I'll talk a little bit about Gandhiji because I have a second session also to give observation of. Just thinking about Gandhiji's role and importance in the nationalist movement. When he came to India, he returned to India in 1915. Till that time, the freedom movement and the nature of freedom movement was something different than what it happened after that. So till 1915 or till 1920, the first decade of the 20th century, it was all a nationalist movement led by the elites, or you can say the upper caste and upper class leaders from India. And he changed the nature of the nationalist movement into a mass movement, and the three mass movements which he actually launched, one with the non-cooperation movement, then the civil disobedience movement, and finally the Quit India movement. He changed the very strength, he shook the very strength of the British rule over India by converting the nature of nationalist movement into a mass movement. So how did he do that? Purely because of the values he advocated and the values he carried forward and the values he asked people to practice in their life. So the values of which Shastriji and Gandhiji advocated are not confined to one's personal or individual life. They are also equally important in the life of the people with respect to the nation, with respect to the community, with respect to their society. Thank you, children. Thank you so much for focusing light in so detail in those areas. And we learned a lot from your presentation and interactions. Thank you. Over to Adyasha.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir, for all your valuable remarks. Honesty is the first chapter of the book Wisdom. Being honest may not bring us a lot of friends, but it would definitely bring us with the right ones. Both the noble souls, Mahatma Gandhi and Lal Bahadur Shastriji, walked on the paths of honesty. Now, to embrace our minds with this principle of honesty, may I request the team members of DAV Public School Pokhriput, Aryam Padhi and Astha Panda to present their topic on honesty, the best policy. Friends, you may start now.
Thank you. Good afternoon, one and all. This is Aryam, and I am extremely proud to present this webinar on honesty is the best policy with my co-presenter Astha Panda and under the guidance of our very own Mrinalini ma'am. So let's get right into it. So what is honesty? Webster's dictionary defines honesty as fairness of conduct and straightforwardness. It has always been seen as a quality and value above all and has been admired by people of all ages and cultures. And this is a very contemporary understanding of honesty. In my opinion, it is much more interesting to find about what people of olden times thought about the virtue of honesty actually. In Indian society, honesty has always had a great value. Satyameva Jayate, the national motto of India, literally means truth alone prevails. The principle of karma also teaches us that if we are deceitful to others, then they too will be deceitful to us. Therefore, it's always better to be honest. Indian stories and folktales often glorified honesty. For example, Yudhishthir from Mahabharata was regarded as the ideal man and a role model for others. Also, noted political theorist Chanakya postulated that a good leader must never lie to or deceive his followers. Therefore, we can clearly see that honesty was always a major part of Indian morality. Now, I would like to welcome Asta to enlighten us further.
Yeah, thank you, Aryam. Mahatma Gandhi, the father of our nation, truly a beacon of morality in today's world, which is full of imperfections. He has incorporated honesty in different ways in his life. Hence, let us take the privilege to watch a small video on how the great father of our nation has proved in his life experience that honesty is the best policy. So here we go.
Raghupati Raja.
One day when the exams were going on, Mohan did not know the spelling of a simple word. He was confused. He scratched his head. It was easy for him to cheat the word from the person sitting nearby and copy it on his notebook. But he did not prefer doing that. He did it himself. He wrote what he knew. At last, he got less marks. He got scolding from his teacher, but he did not prefer cheating because according to him, failure was better than being called as a cheater. And that small boy Mohan one day turned out to be the great father of our nation, the worshipper of truth, Sri Mahatma Gandhi ji. We salute your legacy, sir. You are our inspiration. As you said, honesty is the best policy.
Talking of the great father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi, we should not forget that another prominent personality of Indian politics has also proved time and again that honesty is the best policy. And he is none other than the second Prime Minister of our country, Sri Lal Bahadur Shastri ji. He was also born on the same day, that is 2nd of October. So here, let us hear some tales how Shastri ji has proved honesty in his life. Being the Prime Minister, Shastri ji used to take tours to different industries. Once, on his visit to a cloth mill, he was offered some expensive saris as gift. But being a humble man, he rejected those gently and rather preferred to purchase something which was to his own reach, which was affordable to him. Here we can say, being the Prime Minister also, he preferred purchasing something by his own power. This shows how honest he was. Coming to another tale, many of us, I think, don't know the fact that Shastri ji was offered, as the government used to offer to all the PMs, the state's car for his family's personal use. But again, being a humble man, he rejected that and rather preferred to purchase a simple Fiat car for transporting his children to the school. And a fact not to be forgotten, he has taken a loan of rupees 5,000 from the bank to purchase the car that costs 13,000. Well, tales of great personalities like Lal Bahadur Shastri ji and that of our father of our nation, Gandhi ji, helps us to incorporate honesty in our life in different ways. Well, it's incredibly simple to be honest. As the saying goes, to hide one lie, one has to tell 1,000 lies. Hence, the best way is to don't tell a single lie. Try to be truthful as much as you can. When in confusion, being diplomatic in your answers is a great way to be honest as well as appropriate in the same time. Honesty helps us to be happier, to avoid stress, and overall provides us mental peace. There will be no cheating, there will be no false things around us, hence we can have mental peace easily. If we are honest, then the world will trust us. People will have faith on us. And in order to exist in a society, social regard is very important. And honest people's social regard is always higher. At last, in the concluding statement, I would just like to say, we live in the 21st century, which is full of cheating and falseness. There, only one thing is applicable, as said by the great personality Mark Twain: when in doubt, tell the truth, be honest, live a happy life, live a peaceful life. Hence, proving the statement by the great father of our nation, honesty is the best policy. I, Astha Panda, along with my co-presenter Aryam Padhi, would like to conclude of DAV Public School Pokharipur. Thank you. Jai Hind. Hope you have a nice day ahead.
Thank you so much, Master Aryam Padhi and Ms. Astha Panda. That was indeed a wonderful presentation. Now, may I request the team members of DAV Public School Unit 8 to put forth their questions.
So your presentation was really just so nice, and it has also enriched us with so many values regarding honesty. So our question is, can we assure academic honesty in self-learning modules?
Yes, as all of us will agree to the fact that learning is something which is more important than securing just good marks in the exams. So in order to assure honesty in self-learning modules, the best thing and the first and foremost thing we can do is we can inculcate the HORS question, as we said, the high order thinking skill questions in it. What will it help? It will help a person, it will force a person to think a number of times, because such answers are neither available in Google nor available in any book. It is a person himself who has to do extreme research on those answers to give his or her best. So in my point of view, yes, if we follow this method, honesty can be 100% assured in self-learning modules. Thank you. My answer is satisfying.
Yes, absolutely.
That was a really practical question and very wonderfully answered though. Now, I would request team DAV Public School, Kalinganagar, to put forward its question.
So yeah, our question is, what would you do if you are rewarded for something which you did not do, which you don't deserve?
Yeah. So first thing that I would like to say, as our presentation was on honesty is the best policy. Being an honest person, I will not receive it. But I would like to clear you the tale why I would not receive it. First, I will do a research. I will try to go to the core of the thing, and I will find out why, by mistakenly also, I am gaining something which I don't deserve. Once I am done with it, I will find the answer. Then I can do two things. First, either I will return to the person who has given me the reward, or second thing, I will try to find out the original deserver of the award and I will reward him. But what honesty prevails, what integrity prevails, what truthfulness prevails, I will never accept that. We should not accept that. Thank you. Hope my answer is satisfactory.
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
That was a really honest answer. Now, I would request the team members of DAV Public School, Chandrasekharpur, to ask their queries.
Thank you so much. Every bit of your talk was quite inculcative. There was a very popular phrase of Mahatma Gandhi. It was passive resistance. Do you think Gandhiji mean honesty, truth as passive resistance against the enemy? Please do justify.
Thank you for the answer. So thank you for the question, of course. Believe me or not, that is a really big question, a really popular question people like to ask about Gandhian philosophy. That was Mahatma Gandhi only about passive resistance, or did he incorporate anything else? So what I would like to say is that Gandhiji was a firm believer in the idea of honesty and non-violence, and he did follow passive resistance in some form, most prominently during the civil disobedience movement. But it's an oversimplification to say that he advocated only for passive resistance, in my opinion. For example, all of us must have studied about how Satyagraha was designed to be relentless pursuit of truth and what is right. And while conducting Satyagraha, it is to be kept in mind that our intentions must be pure and honest. Therefore, I would say that even though Mahatma Gandhi was a follower of pacifism or nonviolence, his tactics of protest can't be said as only passive resistance, as evident from his usage of satyagraha. Thank you.
Very well answered. बेईमानी से व्यापार करने वाला व्यापारी भी अपने घर में एक ईमानदार चौकीदार ही ढूंढता है. This is quite evident to prove that how integral part of our life honesty is. Now, may I request Dr. Sthiti Pragya Mishra to give her valuable remarks on this topic. Ma'am, please. Ma'am, you were muted.
Morning shows the day. Really, it is proved in this seminar of intellectuals. Good afternoon, every healthy heart present in this virtual platform. Really, I appreciate this is not a seminar only, but this is a meeting of the intellectuals deciding the future of the country. And my special thanks to the ardent speaker, the participant of Devi Pokhriput, Aryaman Padi and Asta Panda, and I salute Mrinalini ma'am to guide them properly to put forward their views, deciding the fate of the citizens of the country. And now, really special mention here, the way they have presented the PPT, really it is theme-based, colorful. And now, the special mention that they talked about Mahatma Gandhi, oh, it is really a matter of admiration, not from my voice. It is the voice given by Martin Luther King Jr., the ardent, the man behind the civil rights movement. He's rightly said that I think by judging the honesty of Mahatma Gandhi, if I visit India, then I would visit India as a pilgrim. And I think my participants, Astha Panda and Aryaman, rightly expressed that through that seminar presentation. Another thing, Kautilya, really, yes, the Kautilya, the man behind the unification of 16 Janapadas of India, who truly guided Chandragupta Maurya, who first time dreamt about the unity of India. I can say Chandragupta Maurya was nicely guided by Kautilya, and Yudhishthira, really, the mythological story said how he's a man of honesty. And now, behind the success of struggle for independence in India, what more I can tell? It is really proved by the Mahatma Gandhi and Shastriji because of their honesty, and proved to become the milestone for the nationalist movement in the rest part of the world. And now speaking about the questionnaire that they answered are really rhythmic. And now the most important fact I would like to tell the participants from Pokhriput, the research work. Yes, keep it up. Now this is the need of the hour. Unless we do research work, how can you find out the real solution to the problem? And now, even we think that honesty is the need of the hour, it is the prime task of the architect of India. I mean here architect of India, the future citizens of India, where I can see the present in this seminar today. All of the future citizens I can see. I can explore the real statesmanship of the participants today present in this virtual platform. Really, I salute you. The way you have answered, really, I think that it will now set example for others how to go ahead with the ethics of honesty. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, ma'am, for your words of appreciation and your valuable remarks. Thank you, ma'am. A famous line of Gandhiji says, if someone slaps you on one cheek, then show him the other. Doesn't it sound quite prominent and courageous? In today's era, how practical and relevant is it to show your one cheek when someone slaps on the other? Or in a present scenario, is this nonviolence the best way to fight violence? Do you have the guts to do so? Yes, the Next team, that is team DAV Kalinganagar, is going to discuss all such interesting questions and present their views on the wonderful practical topic, principles of Mahatma, relevance in today's time. May I now invite Ms. Sridipta and Ms. Srishti to come forward and proceed with their presentation. Please.
Before we start, I think I am audible.
Yes, you are very clearly audible. Please continue.
Thank you. Good afternoon to one and all present on this virtual platform. Hold on. I don't want to bore you with the same introduction. Good afternoon and all. Let's change the trend. Starting with a famous quote. You must be a change you wish to see in the world.
A beacon of peace and an apostle of non-violence. Such was our father of nation, Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, the man who single-mindedly stood up against the mighty British Empire without any arms and brought India independence.
The major factor of Gandhian principles are truth, non-violence, tolerance, etc., which are famous worldwide. The most iconic is the means versus ends, which means when means are not right, then the ends are also not right.
This also includes no politics without principles.
No wealth without work.
No commerce without morality.
No education without character.
No science without humanity, and
no worship without sacrifice. Starting from the concept, the relevance of Gandhian principles, Gandhi always talked of non-violence, satyagraha, non-cooperation. But today, India has become a nation of terrorism, violence, and menace. Also, individually, peoples are giving up values like truthfulness, so a gentleman is considered a fool. The most important thing of Gandhian philosophy is to stick to the principle. But in today's harsh reality, there is lack of honesty and integrity among people. Though some of you may argue that Gandhian principles are relevant in today's society, but my dear, it is just pursuing it and has no impact in reality.
Another significant factor among the Gandhian principle is the value of education. Gandhian model of education was very holistic in nature and had incorporated value education as well as skill education. But if we look at today's contemporary system of education, value education is actually overlooked, and this is very indicative in the deviant behavior of the youth as they are mostly involved in crime. Gandhian philosophy is mostly based on the character formation of the youth, while today's system of education is mostly based on the materialistic aspect of education. So there is lack of morality and ethics in today's youth. Hence, we have missed this to incorporate between the two models of education from the very past.
Therefore, we are only paying lip service to Gandhian principles.
Moreover, Mahatma Gandhi has also said that there is enough for everyone's need, but not for anyone's greed. I repeat, there is enough for everyone's need, but not for anyone's greed. So sustainable development, a key to growth of all other development, also includes the growth of economy of our country. He always said that our growth will be inclusive if there will be participatory development. And it will only come when our programs are demand-driven and not supply-driven. Hence, there is still a glimpse of hope in the idea of strengthening rural areas in this globalized economy.
In Gandhian view, empowerment may mean giving equal status to women and opportunity to develop them. Man should not consider women just as a sex object. India will be free when women will feel safe to walk in the streets of India in the midnight.
Hence, concluding, yes, these principles are really important in today's time, but it is too difficult to move in the path of Satyagraha as Gandhiji did or others who followed him.
Though this principle may be utopian, let's accept these as universal truth and achieve real independence in the coming future.
At last, we must not lose faith in humanity.
Humanity is a notion.
If some of the drops are dirty,
the ocean doesn't become dirty. With this, we sign off. Thank you for your
Thank
patience, hearing.
Wonderful presentation, team DAV Kalinganagar. Quite impressive. After this wonderful presentation, it's the time of question answer session. First of all, I request the members of the team DAV Unit 8 to present their question.
Thank you. Before jumping on to the question, I would like to first congratulate you on such a wonderful presentation. So my question is, did Mahatma Gandhi's principle of truth and non-violence emphasize the use of reform of heart rather than just use of violence? Can you please justify that?
Thank you for the question. Yes, the idea of non-violence and truth opened the reform of heart and the conscience of the oppressor. The idea of the Satyagraha emphasized the power of truth and the need to search for truth. It suggested that if the cause was true and if the struggle was against injustice, then physical force was not necessary to fight against the oppressor. Hope my answer was satisfactory.
Yes, it was.
Thank you, DAV Kalinganagar. Now, it's the turn of DAV Pokhariput to present its question.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to say that the presentation was short and sweet and beautifully articulated all the points necessary about the relevance of Gandhian philosophy in today's world. So my question is that, as you said in your own presentation also, Mahatma Gandhi advocated for pacifism and absolute non-violence. Do you think in the modern age where India wants to be a world leader, that is a superpower, it can still stick to the
Yeah. Yes, the is applicable to all. War cannot stop with war. Negotiation can solve the problem. War brings destruction, as you all are might aware of the First World War and the Second World War. Violence cannot retaliate with violence. It only brings this destruction. Everyone has to bow down your peace. So this is all I wanted to say. I hope my answer is satisfactory.
Sure.
Beautifully answered. But that's actually true. War cannot end war. Finally, it's the turn of team DAV Chandrasekharpur to put forth its question. Please proceed.
Thank you. Thank you, DAV Kalinganagar team, for your beautiful presentation again. Our question goes like this. Does the Indian Constitution reflect the Gandhian principle and make those a policy of governance? How?
Yes, in the Constitution of India, it is quite reflected. In the preamble, the word socialist, secular, and equality are the best examples.
Also, the ideas of Gandhiji's are respected in the fundamental rights such as the right to education and compulsory education up to the children up to the age of 14 years. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Team DAV Kalinganagar. Quite interesting discussion. After this amazing discussion, it's high time to ask for the valuable remarks of our honorable panelist, Shri Nihar Kantha. Please, sir.
Thank you, Adesha. Thank you, children, for again and another beautiful presentation come interaction. But before I extend my observation and share with you, my compliments are due for Astha and Aryam from DAV Pokhariput for such beautiful content and answering the questions from the other schools and other teams so precisely and with a lot of clarity. Talking about the presentation of DAV Kalinganagar, Sridipta and Srushti, my best wishes for you too. You also presented what Aryam said, short and sweet, very concise, very precise, and also you tried to attempt as many areas as possible in a short period of time. And what I liked in a presentation most was how you very precisely elaborated Gandhian ideas and ideology as utopian, and also touching upon Gandhiji's views of sustainable development and also the empowerment of the weaker sections of the society. But here I would like to also add on something. If we talk of empowerment, it was more of a very constructive empowerment, unlike that of others who always think of, who not always, but who often think of destructive empowerment. So he was always in favor of constructive empowerment of the Dalits and the weaker sections, so that they could be brought and assimilated with the mainstream life. He is actually my favorite personality. I always love the ideals and ideology of Gandhiji, and I myself, I really practice his ideas and ideology. I was hearing to Aryam giving a very nice response about the topic passive resistance. Yes, many criticize Satyagraha as a passive resistance. I don't agree. Not many do agree who really understand Gandhiji's ideas correctly. Speaking something more about this concept of Satyagraha, actually he didn't, develop this idea while taking part in the nationalist movement in India. He developed this idea while in South Africa, where he was with his Gujarati brothers and sisters and was fighting some cases in the courts of South Africa against the inhuman apartheid system. So I read somewhere that he once, wrote in a newspaper asking his Indian friends to give a term to his novel idea of protest. So another Gandhi, I remember correctly, his name is Maganlal Gandhi. Okay, so Maganlal Gandhi came up with the idea Sadagraha, not Satyagraha, Sadagraha. Gandhiji loved that idea, but he changed it a little bit from Sadagraha to Satyagraha. That's what a beautiful idea he collected, he developed there, and he brought it forward to India and practiced it in case of the nationalist movement. And many might believe, many might think that Satyagraha is simply based on truth and not in the life of an individual, life of a community, and life of the society. One more value I would like to talk about Gandhiji, that was a communal harmony. So one small incident I'd like to share with you. I read in the process of my collecting some information to share with my students. At the time of independence, when everybody was celebrating the success of the freedom struggle and distributing sweets, Sardar Patel reached Gandhiji, and he was not in New Delhi to watch or to observe Jawaharlal Nehru hosting the national tricolor on the ramps of Red Fort. He was actually, I'm talking about Gandhiji, he was actually in the lanes and bylanes of Noakhali, a place in Bengal, where he was consoling the victims of communal conflict between the Hindus and Muslims. So when Sardar Patel invited him to come to Delhi and celebrate the success of freedom struggle, celebrate the independence, and also share some sweets, his reply was, quite emotional. He stated that, this was not the time to celebrate. This is the time to give some security, some peace of mind to the minority brothers and sisters in India. I'm very proud that I belong to the nation to which Gandhi also belongs. And we study a lot about him. This is not a webinar to think in one day, in a year, or for an hour in a day, or in a year to understand, to recollect the values of Gandhi, and also to share with each other. It's time to practice those ideas, practice those values in life. I have often come across some of the students from the foreign schools and colleges. I asked them, did you ever hear about Gandhiji and his ideas? They said no. But some of the principles of Gandhiji, they still remember, and the most important principle and value of Gandhiji, which their teachers, their schools and colleges have imparted to them, was nothing other than truth and non-violence. So if they could hear, if they could practice, if they could follow, why not we? Martin Luther King Jr., or you say Nelson Mandela, these people are the carriers of the ideas and values of Gandhiji to the international level. But what about the national level? Many also today still misunderstand Gandhi's and his ideas and values. So time is up, time is correct, time is appropriate for all of us to again recollect his ideas and values and also practice in our life. Thank you, children. Thank you so much for giving us time to share with each other the values and principles of these two greatest children of India. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Over to us, Amisha.
Your remarks was not just valuable, but also full of knowledge and information. Thank you, sir. अपने देश की आजादी अपने देश की आजादी की रक्षा करना केवल सैनिकों का धर्म नहीं, बल्कि हर देशवासी का कर्तव्य है. The loyalty towards country comes ahead of all other loyalties. These lines were quoted by the politician who made no money out of public, but definitely won millions of hearts and respect. Yes, the second Prime Minister of our country, Shri Lal Bahadur Shastri Ji. But somehow in today's world, all these ideas and ideologies have somehow faded. So, to elicit those ideologies, I would now request Master Satya Sarthak Mahapatra and Master Atman Dev Swai from DAV Public School Chandrasekharpur to grasp on their virtual mics and present their topic, Ideas and Ideologies of Lal Bahadur Shastri. Friends, you may proceed now.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Honorable Principal Sir.
Good afternoon, panel members, respected teachers, and my dear co-speakers.
We, being the part of this venerable and rather magnificent webinar, would like to thank you all for giving us the opportunity to speak something regarding ideas and ideologies of our beloved ex-Prime Minister, Shri Lal Bahadur Shastri Ji.
Today, we all of us do, by our presence here, auspicious, sadly forgetful, and sublimely prestigious work, re-enchant the mightiest steward we find in the books of our today's existence. Devout son, our motherland produced. In rush to remember Mahatma on his birth anniversary, it is easy to forget he's one of the most ardent followers, also born on the same day as the light of independent India. With muted remembrance from the nation, so his legacy as an astute statesman is more pertinent than ever in the pertinent political climate.
Jai Jawan, this fame of our soldiers and farmers, but also put forward the two pillar strategies of self-reliance and self-sustenance. नानक नन्हे बने रहो जैसे नन्ही दूब, बड़े बड़े बह जाते हैं दूब खूब की खूब. Flowers and colorful plants always attract others, but ultimately, at some point of time, they lose their beauty. Whereas green grass always remains evergreen throughout the year and provides us the platform and foundation. This was the main philosophy of Shastriji. Now question comes, how was Shastriji different? What distinguished Shastriji's ideas, ideologies, and philosophies from other leaders of that time? What distinguished Shastriji was his adherence to truth, unwavering accountability to the responsibilities that he shouldered, and of course, his limitless passion for the peace, progress, and prosperity of our nation.
Born, Lal Bahadur Srivastava opted for a simple epithet of scholar, Shastri, after being acquainted with Gandhi's anti-caste philosophy, proving his aptness towards the nation. As a child, he had a syncretic upbringing, studied Urdu under Maulvi, and went to fight for India, participating in Salt Satyagraha. Noted for his quiet demeanor, Shastri had a firm sense of self. Perhaps due to my being small in size and soft of tongue, people are apt to believe I'm not so firm. This was his exact lines. He said criticizingly and mocking himself. But in that reply, he himself again said, though not physically strong, I am internally not so weak. It was this inner fortitude that allowed him to take momentous decisions, such as steering the nation through the war of Pakistan, and fighting against the defeat against Chinese in 1962, and when the revolts erupted in Madras during the imposition of Hindi, it was his decision-taking ability which made India pass through the depressing situation. Shastri stepped down from the role of railway minister. Such a decision would have only appeared obvious to a man of such conscientiousness and integrity. Among the several highlights of Shastri's career were his initiatives to create a dairy and farming revolution in India. So was his farsightedness to bid in self-sufficiency in milk and agriculture. Every man on earth dies. They have a reason. But this, our Prime Minister, went far and had a grim death.
Ladies and gentlemen, 10th January 1966, a historical day for India and Pakistan relations, but at the same time, a dark night for people of India. Our Prime Minister visits another country, signs a treaty for our development, and dies mysteriously. Thousands of suspects, number of unusualities, but no commission, no inquiry, and no postmortem. Probably we don't understand what we mean by the loss of Shastriji. In the book Mitrokhin's Archive, KGB and the world's best counterintelligence report, chapter 17, Special Relations with India, it is clearly mentioned that after Shastriji's death, it seemed as if entire India was for sale. Just imagine, guys, entire India was for sale. It was impossible till Lal Bahadur Shastri was the Prime Minister, because neither the money of CIA nor the fear of KGB could have purchased our Prime Minister. The India that he dreamed for got divided into two suburbs. Somebodies like the leaders who have power and nobodies like the common people.
As I said earlier, every man is common and he dies, and no exception was Shastriji. But today, with a broken heart, I over here proclaim that Shastriji didn't die, he was killed twice. Again, he was killed twice. Once far away from the homeland, working for the homeland, he was killed quietly without anyone's knowledge. And second, in our grim hearts where we have forgotten to remember such a great Prime Minister we ever had. We don't want to be at the mercy of my emotions. I want to use them, enjoy them, and of course, dominate them. Such a man was Shastriji. Sometimes these emotions can break your heart, but for a man like Shastriji, emotions such as could heal its heart to keep on going forever. These are the unforgettable words of Shastriji I enchanted. The person who didn't want to die for the country. He didn't want to die for the country, but to live for the country and to create unwavering wonders.
That's end to our program. Thank you.
Thank you so much, my dear friends, for your wonderful presentation. Now, to begin the interactive question answer session, I would request the team members of DAV Public School Unit 8 to put forward questions.
Indeed, the presentation was just so informative. So our question is, Shastriji's provisions and ideologies were way ahead of its time. How?
Great question. You mean to say a person who is ahead of time can foresee the things which are coming in future and can take decision at the moment? Yes, Shastri was so. You can remember, as my friend Satya said about the Tashkent files he had been to, and it was not just any such treaty. The things you see, the terrorism across borders, fights with Pakistan, could have been resolved by that treaty, not just for years, but for decades. Same was such his contributions in the nuclear projects.
Apart from this, he was even the first economic reformer of our country. He openly supported the ideas of Green Revolution and White Revolution.
Thank you. We hope our answer was convincing.
Thank you. Absolutely.
An answer to an amazing question. Now, may I request the team members of DAV Public School Pokhripur to ask their queries.
Yeah, so excellent presentation. It was as already
Thank you very much.
really. So, like that, you have also mentioned that Lal Bahadur Shastri was perhaps most well known for his slogan Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan. But in today's modern world, and corporate farming, don't you think the farmers of Shastriji's time has been diluted? Or in other words, is the farmer of his time obsolete in today's world?
Thank you for your question.
Yeah.
Science is no doubt the Lord of creation of the new and newly developing and progressing earth. And the creation of science are not through simple thoughts, rather through ever-changing demands of changing generations of human beings. But that's true that with passage of time and development, we have plantation and machines and newer technologies. But it is also true that nearly half of the farmers still depend on rain for our irrigation in India today. Maximum people still in our country practice farming, and it is still the backbone of India's economy. As our honorable principal sir said to you in the beginning of the speech, that country to develop country, we need the help of farmers. We need the help of agricultural sector. So I strongly believe that our farmers have not been diluted. Rather, they're still that farmers type of Shastriji's time. Hope the answer was satisfactory.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, fine. Excellent answer. Thank you.
Thank you.
It was an excellent answer. Now, I would like to request Team DAV Public School Karinganagar to ask its queries.
Indeed, a very nice presentation. So my question is, how did the invigorating call of Shastriji bring a change in the Green Revolution to the post-independent India's consolidation?
Yes, it's of course question I was expecting. Yes, it's our model revolution, the Green Revolution. I will say it required political will and commitment at the top. When Lal Bahadur Shastri became the Prime Minister after Nehru's death, he could see how widespread was hunger, how difficult it was for people to get even a single meal. And it was the critical lack of contact between the elites and the peasant which could acquire the strength within Shastriji to move forward and to create self-sufficiency in food. And second problem was that there was an issue in implementation, and the PM Shastri, who selected the C. Subramaniam, the most efficient statesman, as a Minister of Agriculture, which even pushed it forward. And finally, I would like to say it had the dependable foreign assistance. So Shastriji, as you know, soft-spoken, great in maintaining friendship. As Nehru once said, he was the most best comrade to have with you. So he had such well helps from outside, so you could achieve different types of seeds and other implements required. Thank you.
What an intense and informative discussion it was. Now, may I have the privilege to request one of our panel members, Dr. Sthiti Pragya Mishra, to please give her valuable remarks. Ma'am, please.
Thank you. A child of today is the citizen of tomorrow. Thank you, Satya and Atman, by proving that proud to be Indian. Yes, India, a land of diversity, cradle of civilization, cradle of the birthplace of great heroes. And now you have taken intelligently an important task to highlight your mesmerizing thoughts, taking into account the ideology of Lal Bahadur Shastri. Really, your entire presentation, Prajurdi, and I can say through this presentation, I just want to highlight one thing with special mention that you have spoken here, Lal Bahadur Shastri, a little man. Yes, little man did wonder. As the enlightened statesman, and here talking about the Tashkent Agreement, I just want to highlight one important statement made by Lal Bahadur Shastri, that, you know, Tashkent Agreement to negotiate and to end the war between India and Pakistan. And in this context, one tribe has gone one highlighting, mesmerizing voice of Lal Bahadur Shastri, just comparing one vanquished nation and one victorious nation. Do you remember that statement made by Lal Bahadur Shastri? You see the physical stature of Lal Bahadur Shastri and the physical stature, that again giant-like structure Ayub Khan, the Pakistan president. What he said, you know.
Yes, ma'am, I can say. Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, I have heard about this story once.
खाकर बात करूंगा. And sir, Ayub Khan, sir,
he has to look down and speak.
Is it not showing the position of two nations where India spreads the message of peace?
Yes,
repeatedly, India comes ahead for peaceful bilateral talk, but alas,
yes,
I see the peace is going vain. Thank you, Satya. And you are highlighting one important concept, green revolution and white revolution, which is applies through his statement, Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan. Keeping in view the unprecedented pandemic, I think
thank you very much.
great need of poverty, hunger, and really it is the need of the hour, how to ensure food security. And now, the most tragedy and pathetic statement that you have made here about the mystery behind the death of Lal Bahadur Shastri. Yes. Here, now keeping in view the role played by Lal Bahadur Shastri, which already you have highlighted through your seminar presentation, I recognize that you, the children, don't think about one utopian world, but think about what we can make a reality. And through this only, we can think India is going to ride the pathway of the prosperity, peace, progress as dreamt by Lal Bahadur Shastri. Thank you, everybody. All the participants in this seminar, I salute you all for presenting so much valuable themes related to these great heroes. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
For your wonderful remarks. Live as if you were to die tomorrow. Learn as if you were to live forever. With the hope that all the ideas and ideologies of both these noble souls, Mahatma Gandhi and Lal Bahadur Shastri, would forever be in our hearts and would be implemented in our respective lives. We have come to the end of all the presentations. Now, I have the pleasure to request my friend Sriparna Sahu to propose a vote of thanks.
Thank you, Amisha. We've almost reached to the culmination of this webinar. Now, it is time to convey our heartfelt gratitude to all, because gratitude is not only the greatest of virtues, but also the parent of all others. No event can be successful without the help of others. I am extremely privileged to get an opportunity to express a few words of gratitude to all who have directly or indirectly contributed in the smooth completion of this program. At the outset, I am greatly privileged to extend my deep sense of thankfulness to Dr. Keshav Chandra Satpathy, our iconic principal sir, who has remained the torchbearer of school education in Odisha for decades. Your wise words in today's webinar are certainly a learning experience for all of us, sir. Thank you for providing us such a platform on which we could discuss on the virtues and ideologies of Gandhiji and Shastriji. Thanks a lot for your benign presence and incessant efforts for our betterment. I express my deep sense of gratitude to all the esteemed principals of the sister concerned schools, Madam Ipshita Das, DAV Unit 8, Dr. Sujata Sahu, DAV Pokhariput, and Shri Bipin Kumar Sahu, DAV Kalinganagar, for giving an opportunity to the children to be a part of our webinar. Thank you very much. I feel extremely delighted to offer my thanks to Headmistress Ma'am and all the supervisors for leading us all from the front and giving them support, guidance, and encouragement for the smooth completion of the event. Next, I extend deep sense of appreciation to Shrijukta Nihar Kantajena, PGT Political Science and Supervisor, and Dr. Stitapragya Mishra, Senior Faculty in History, who were the panelists of today's webinar, for their valuable and informative remarks and effective analysis of all the presentations. Thank you so much, sir and ma'am. I convey my special thanks to Madam Isha Ipsita Satpathy, who is a friend, philosopher, and guide for all of us. Madam, you are always with us wherever and whenever necessary. Your contribution in the arrangement of the program is absolutely praiseworthy. Thank you, ma'am. I'm also similarly thankful to Ayushman Panda sir for providing us the much needed technological support for this webinar in Zoom platform. Your expertise in the field and skill of management really made it a glitch-free observation. Thank you very much, sir. I extend my deep sense of appreciation for all the guide teachers of the 4 DAVs, Madam Vijaya Bharati Sharma from DAV Unit 8, Madam Runalini Das from DAV Pokhariput, Shrijukta Jagdish Chandra Das Adhikari, DAV Kalinganagar, and Madam Kalyani Panda from DAV Chandrashekarpur for giving their valuable guidance and wholehearted support in preparing the participants for their presentations. A lion's share of thankfulness goes to all the intelligent, devoted, and worthy participants of the 4 TIMS for their high-spirited and enthusiastic presentations. They really have done hard work and taken a lot of pain to make this webinar successful and very memorable with their excellent oratory skills and technical knowledge. Dear participants, you were the main attraction of this event. Thank you so much for your complete involvement. A big thanks to our anchors, Atyasha and Amisha, for adding vibrant color and charm to the whole webinar by their smart, sweet, and enthusiastic anchoring. Thank you so much, friends. Arranging such a beautiful program on the virtual platform demands a lot of challenges, effective planning, and complete involvement. I convey my sincere thanks to all the concerned teachers and students who have contributed wholeheartedly in the organization of this event. Thank you all. To conclude, a few lines on the eve of Gandhi and Shastri Jayanti. न सिर्फ जश्न मनाना, न सिर्फ झंडे लहराना, ये काफी नहीं है वतन परस्ती, यादों को नहीं भुलाना। जो कुर्बान हुए उनके लफ्जों को आगे बढ़ाना, जो कुर्बान हुए उनके लफ्जों को आगे बढ़ाना, खुदा के लिए नहीं, जिंदगी वतन के लिए निभाना, वतन के लिए निभाना। With this, we come to an end of this wonderful webinar. Thank you once again. Jai Hind.